Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to Dr. Fauzia and my beloved friends. We are from Group 8. My name is Silvani Srina Aristu. My metric number is 2588407. So now we will explain about the topic that we choose is Umur Maqasidiha. For the introduction, intention is an absolute requirement for all of us in all aspects of action. Intention will also determine the quality of a particular individual. In Islam, discuss motivation or intention in Qawaid Fiqhiyah, which is commonly referred to as Al-Umur Maqasidiha wal Amal bil Niyat. The word Al-Umur Maqasidiha itself consists of two elements, namely the word al-umuru, which is plural form of the word al-amru, which means circumstance, event, and the word al-maqasid, which is the plural form of the word al-maqsad, maqasid, khusud, which means towards a destination, a straight path. And in the terminology, al-umur bimaqasidiha is an act of a person both verbally and behaviorally that is subject to Islamic law in accordance with the intent or purpose of the act. Hadis according Imam Baihaqi, Innama amalu bil niyat, which means indeed the legitimacy of deeds of depends on intention is a third of science because one's worship must consist of three elements, namely biqalbi with his heart, bilisani with his mouth, bijawarihi with his lips, which means everything depends on its purpose. What we will discuss in this presentation is about the relevant legal maxim related to al-umur bimaqasidiha as well as the application of legal maxim or qawaid al-fiqhiyah in any areas, including the business, finance, fiqh al-ibadah, and also this text we will solve certain problems or connect al-umur bimaqasidiha with qawaid fiqhiyah and its branches.
Hi, I'm Nur Adila binti Rabbi and metric number is 27724. Today I want to present about the reliable legal maxim. First, al-umur bimaqasidiha matters are just by the intention. This maxim clarifies that every act or order performed is intention of it. For instance, the judgment on the basis of the act or order shall be according with the intention and purpose the act or order. It is based on the following well-known property hadith, which is according to Umur ibn al-Khattab said, I heard the messenger of Allah say, practice is just only by intention and every man will obtain what he intends. So whoever migrates to Allah and his messenger, then he migrates to Allah and his messenger. 110 the apostle, and the person who migration wants to achieve worldly gain or to take human migration. His migration is for what he migrated to, narrated by Al-Bukhari and Muslim. Next, هل الأيمن على نية الحليف أو على نية المستحلف? Does it really on the intentions of the one swear or on the intention of the one who urges another person to swear? If the person swearing is innocent, al-yamin oath is based on his niyyah, and if the person is guilty, it is based on the judgment in court. For the purpose of divorce or according to Hanafiyah, freedom al-yamin is conditional on the niyyah of the person who swear whether he is guilty or innocent. This according to Malikiyah and Safiyah is founded on the niyyah of the prophets. It is a magistrate for does not tolerate hiding or receptions. side, perspective from Safia, the oath is on the niyyah of the swearer with the condition. First, he is one of those with the authority to hear. Ash-shahadat suggests a just arbitrator. Nonetheless, Ibnul Abdus Salam added the opponent based on the hadith. Second, he is a just or anything like in response to a verbal request yet. If the opponent does not make a request, the oath is conditional on the niyyah of the person who swear an oath. Next, he swear to Allah unless the claimants specify otherwise. Divorce word Mazhab Hanafi. The oath will be taken in that instant the applicant niyyah. The last one, he does not take an oath to achieve anything, even if he tells the truth other than the oath required by the rival. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum, my name is BIMS2093 and my metric number 269452. So I will continue present about relevant maxim in Umur Maqasidiha. So the third maxim is Al-ibratun fil qadi lil maqasidi wal ma'ani lil alfas wal mabani. In contracts, intentions and meanings, words and structures should be taken into consideration. The field of contract humans is very wide in activities and transactions. It largely depends on the wishes and methods of the parties. When reading the contract, if there is a disagreement, the expression and its meaning should be considered in terms of meaning rather than literal wording. So, for example, A said to B, I will make a gift for this handphone. B accept it with Rm700. So the contract is not a gift but a sale, or even although the word gift is used. So the fourth maxim is hal aniyah tuqsas al-laf al-am aw tu'ammil laf al-qas. Does intention particularize a general discourse or generalize a particular discourse? Malikiyah and Hanabila agree that niyyah intentions are concreted general words and can generalize specific words. As Shafi'iyah, on the other hand, it is pointed out that niyyah can concretize general words, but it does not summarize the specific segments in the oaths. So, for the example, when a spouse says to his wife, if you wear a skirt, you are divorced. However, after that, he claimed that he meant a particular piece of clothing. It accepted by religion. The fifth maxim is al-ayman mabniyah ala al-afwa ala al-ard. Does oath lean on discourse or on purpose? Malikiyah and Hanabila concluded that the words used in al-ayman are based on niyat, regardless of whether the oath is appropriate for zahir al-lafaz. On the other hand, Hanafiya and Shafi'iyah observe that al-ayman depends on discourse. If discourse is used for those ayman, otherwise al-ayman was built in niyah. For example, if a person swears not to sell certain goods for $10 but he sold it for $9 or $11 and his pledge was not even considered broken. If he intends to increase the price to 10, it will not be considered broken. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Azrin binti Batia and my matric number is 272473. Now I will explain about the application of Umur Maqasidiha in various areas and solving the particular issue. The rule of Umur Maqasidiha is one of the rule of fiqh that can be used by the jurist matters in resolving the problems of ummah that are not found in Al-Quran and Hadith, as well as ijtihad, qiyas and so on. Because every issue that occurs is very dynamic, and follow the development of the time, then this contemporary jurisprudence become part of the legal basis because it is in accordance with the circumstances of time. First, application in medical field. In the field of medicine, every medicine carried out must be based on clear intention and goal to cure the disease, treat the sickness, and not an intention that can bring harm and misery to a patient. According to the law, a doctor can be sued by a patient if it causes his health condition to be worsened. A doctor, on the other hand, will be rewarded by Allah SWT because his initial motive and purpose was to assist in the healing of the patient disease. Next, any medication or treatment performed must be something that has been well studied by a medical expert and effectiveness is guaranteed in treating the disease. For example, in the treatment of cleft palate, the orofacial cleft or known as cleft is a common craniofacial birth defect where this defect involves 1 in every 700 till 1000 newborn worldwide. Clefting of the lip and palate occurs when there is a disturbance during the stage of formation and fusion of facial part at any stage of structural development involved, whether the lips, palate or other part of the face. Patients born with the cleft lip and palate condition face a variety of problems that will have certain implications at every age. Cleft surgery is included in category of plastic surgery. Plastic surgery is divided into two categories, namely reconstructive surgery and aesthetic surgery. Although the two are categorized in the plastic surgery, they are different in terms of the objectivity of the surgery. Reconstructive surgery is a surgery performed to treat a deformity and aim to restore the function of person body. The principle of Umur Maqasidiha is used as an important reference in taking the law of the issue cleft treatment. Intention is the main basis for the acceptance of practice, whether it is accepted or rejected by God. If a practice is done correctly in terms of kaifiyat but wrong in the term of intention, then it is not accepted by Allah. Therefore, if a surgery performed with the aim of replacing and repairing the potential dangerous abnormality and to achieve its main goals of restoring body part function back to normal, then the law is permissible. Second, application in COVID-19 pandemic situation. In the challenge of facing a COVID-19 pandemic situation, the creation of vaccine is one of the steps to curb this pandemic from spreading future. However, it's become a problem when anti-vaccination groups aggressively and deliberately distributing misleading information about the vaccine, claiming that the vaccine component contain pig product and hence are not halal. As a result, the community is perplexed and many people refuse to take the vaccination. This fact is not true, as the vaccination is an issue that's not involve animal ingredient, according to the Oxford University. Thus, it's necessary to understand the intention and purpose of person taking the vaccine is a measure of self-protection in line with the evidence such as a word of Allah SWT, which means, do not let your own hand throw you into destruction by withholding. Through Surah Al-Baqarah verse 195. As a Muslim, we must be confident and believe Allah is the healer of all disease, but Allah asks us to strive to cure disease. Vaccination not only reduces serious symptoms and death cases involving COVID-19 infection, but recent evidence suggests it may also minimize the risk of spreading the infection virus to others, where it can be linked to intention of person to take vaccine as an effort and endeavor to protect themselves in addition to preserving life and obedience to the command of Prophet SAW to stay away from the disease outbreak. Besides that, regarding the postpone of Friday prayers, referring to the fatwa and decision of mufti and scholars around the world, although the law is mandatory for those who meet the 7 conditions, namely Muslim, puberty, reasonable, merdeka completely, which is independent, man and healthy body, but this law has changed to the non-mandatory due to the current situation of COVID-19 pandemic outbreak. However, scholars are faced with a handful of civilians who question and dispute the prohibition. They brought various arguments, including a hadith narration from Jabir bin Abdullah radiallahu anhu, whoever missed Jum'ah 3 times with no congregation issue, Allah SWT will place a seal on his heart. To answer this argument, they should be made to understand that individuals are given rukhsah to leave Friday prayers, especially if they are worried about the spread of the disease. People who are obligated to perform Friday prayers but are prevented from doing so due to the closure of the mosque will still be rewarded if he prays Zohar at home as long as his heart intended to go to the mosque based on the method of all matters based on his intention. Meanwhile, there is a hadith recorded by Bukhari which means when a slave fall ill or travel, then he will get reward similar to that he gets for good deed practiced at home when in a good health. Thank you. That's all from me.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Shahida Meterostan. My meeting number is 272451. Okay, next I will explain about the application of Umur bi Maqasidiha in business field. Okay, every act performed must be based on intention and have a clear goal and not intention that could bring harm for them. For example, method of Umur bi Maqasidiha to the cultivation and cannabis trees. If the intention of a cannabis entrepreneur is to grow cannabis for sale to drug addict, the intention is sinful and illegal. This is because the cannabis plant that is cultivated should be for health and research purpose. The same way may be said for someone who grows grapes, which is a halal product. However, his intention is to sell grapes to consumer or one manufacturer. As a result, his activities is now prohibited, which is both activities is prohibited because of the intention of the act determine its legality. Okay, next is the application Umur bi Maqasidiha in Islamic banking and finance field. Okay, first is issue raised in the imposition of ta'wid. In the instance of the imposition of ta'wid or compensation on a defaulting bank customer who has purposefully or negligently refused to fulfill his bank obligation, Bank Negara Malaysia enables bank to charge compensation which was previously forbidden under Sharia since it resembles the prohibited riba. However, the lack of a competent method to address this issue of default may cause moral hazard on the part of the consumer who may purposefully postpone payment. As a result, information of ta'wid is permitted on the basis of preventing intentional default by the customer. Ta'wid can be only applied after the financing settlement date as agreed upon by both contractual parties. Ta'wid may be recognized as a revenue by an Islamic financial institution if it is assessed as a compensation for genuine loss experienced by the institution. If the intention on imposition of ta'wid is not because of preventing intentional default by the customer, so the imposition is prohibited. For example, in the age of Jahiliyah, if the person who borrowed could not pay after the promised time, the debt would be double. If you do not pay after a year, so it will be double again. So as we know, taking advantage of people weaknesses and hardship is forbidden in Islam because it violates Sharia. Okay, another issue in Islamic banking and finance field, okay, is a kafala issue. Kafala means joint obligation, but debt transfer signifies the release on the principal debtor. If a debt transfer contract is formed with the stipulation that the principal debtor is liable if the transferee fails to meet the obligation of the agreement, even if labeled as a debt transfer contract, it will be treated as a kafala contract. The kafala contract will be treated the same if the principal debtor is released after the kafala contract is signed. If a bank disclose their strategy on financing customer on a non-interest basis, they must do so rather than simply continuing the same practice and trying to rationalize it in Islamic term by changing it the applicable nomenclature, such as calling it as buyback or markup. Similarly, a bank will not be allowed to operate mudarabah and musyarakah in a manner that guarantees a fixed rate of return for the bank while transforming the loss burden or an unspecified amount of profit balance to the working partner. That's all from me. Thank you.
And the conclusion is that Qaidah al-Umur bi-Maqasidiha is a Qaidah that is concise in pronunciation but has a broad meaning, containing all activities carried out by the persons, both in the form of the words and in the form of deeds. This Qaidah also discusses that the law that is the consequence of each case must always be in accordance with what is the purpose of the case. And Qaidah al-Umur bi-Maqasidiha can be applied to all activities that we do, such as in the field of the medicines. Every treatment that is carried out must be based on a clear purpose and aim to cure the disease, treat the disease, and not an intention that can bring disaster and misery for the patient. Then there is the COVID-19 outbreak, which requires everyone to get vaccine. Even though some claims the vaccine is haram because it contains products, but in order to reduce the pandemic, consuming the vaccine is for the good of yourself and others, so it can be done and is lawful. And Qaidah al-Umur bi-Maqasidiha is also applied to the business and banking and financial activities. Today's scholars should wisely use their thoughts in issuing law, where the law's issue must be sought from the Quran and Al-Hadith, Qiyas and Ijma ulama. And also is observing it cannot be separate from the Qaidah lines that has been valid and standard, because every problem that's applied varies according to the circulation of the times, and also that the law issue are appropriated and in accordance with the condition of the era. Thank you for watching this presentation of the Group H.